All right, we're live.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to my office. It should be a good sounding place.
Yeah.
Crap, now I don't remember how to do this with headphones on. It sounds weird.
Sounds weird now.
Yeah. Well, what's going on, everybody? We haven't been here in a while. I'm sure you know how many weeks it's been. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. We are here at the house because I've got, I bought this house, 2.5 years ago, and we didn't have any shower glass, so I finally ordered it.
What has it been in there?
Yeah, I was feeling a little flush, and now we're broke again, so I'm wishing I didn't do it. God dang it, how does it happen so fast? Where I go from flush to broke. It's amazing. So, yeah, we're the shower didn't have a door on it, so I got the door, and then the kids' bath tubs they had like a stupid shower curtain. It fell off again last week for the 50th time, so I'm like, I'm done with this. So I said, Susie, get me some quotes, and so we're doing the glass. And then the water heater blew up here, so I had to shower in the guest room, and there's literally just open. There's no glass, so I had to get that all done. So it looks pretty sweet, though.
Yeah, so now this is your home office.
Correct, yep.
Yeah, so we're on site, the Darlington house.
Yep. Yep.
Is it still yours? Is there a possibility of still selling it?
No.
Okay.
Well, if I continue down the broke path, maybe I do need to sell it. We'll see. God dang. So I just had to borrow a bunch of money. That's all.
Let's see. The very first chat today is a super chat.
Oh wow, that's cool.
From Sean Moran, his first ever super chat, $49.99 US.
Oh, sweet. Thanks, man. I'm
says,
going to need that money.
Yeah, that's going towards the shower.
Yeah.
Your attention to detail is amazing. However,
oh, shoot.
In shipping, OG uses the cheap regular masking tape to secure the tops of liquid products from opening in transit. Any thought to using the red or blue detail tape just to have that added OG touch?
I don't know.
I didn't know there was such a thing as red or blue.
No.
Detail tape. No. Yeah, the masking tape.
I like the masking tape. It's the most efficient. The problem with that other tape that I've gotten on products is it doesn't seal up as well. So the annoying part of masking tape is that it's harder to take off, but it grabs the bottle better. So despite the fact there's some fancier versions of that stuff, we like to use the regular masking tape.
Let's see. Mike wants to know, when will the LE T4000 V2 be available?
I think they're in transit, aren't they?
I know the next batch. I don't know if that's V2 or not. The next batch is on the way.
Yeah.
But I don't know the answer to that, Mike. Sorry. Dan Pfeiffer, happy Friday from Minnesota. Hope the OG crew is doing well. We are. It's going well. Will OG Drying Aid gallon containers be included in the garage giveaway? Invasion HD wants to know.
No.
Is there a spreadsheet that shows how to choose the correct color temp and lumens for the Cree CR60 6-inch lights based on ceiling height?
No, ceiling height doesn't have anything to do with color temp. Maybe he's talking about the lumen output.
He says color temp and lumens.
So color temp is just preference. I think you want 3K if you have a brown or darker, more earth-toned home, and you want 3500K if you have more of a modern or whiter or sterile or more gray, depending on how you look at it, home. Now, height, I would just ask myself, do I have a dimmer or not, and how many lights do I have? And just make it up. If you have a dimmer, then you can just do the 1600 lumen version and just dim it. If you don't, then maybe just take a guess. But you can't go wrong with doing the 100 watt or the 1250 lumen version. Shoot the middle.
Midget A wants to know, is there a particular reason that you use the Magic Lift in your garage instead of the Versa Lift? Don't want to regret my choice later. Thanks.
Yeah, the guys who did Magic Stairs made the Magic Lift to complement the stairs, and so I chose it because of those guys, and actually liked it better. I had a Versa Lift. Did I ever have a Versa Lift? Maybe I never had the Versa Lift. The Magic Lift is newer, and I felt like they were putting a little bit more into they've seen the Versa Lift and then made some improvements to it. But I've never had. I've shopped the Versa Lift and plan on getting a Versa Lift for so many years, but I don't think I ever ended up with one of them. I think the first one I ever got was the Magic Lift.
Invasion HD wants to know, do you have any opinion on car covers, Covercraft versus Cover King? Or are there other brands that are recommended for outdoor storage where there are all 4 seasons? The vehicle has front half PPF and full coating.
Yeah, I mean, the outdoor covers are tough. I mean, I've never gone down that path. You really can only put a car cover in right after it's been washed. But the one that I used to recommend was the Cover King Stormproof. And then I've always done Cover King Satin Stretch in the garage. I've never had a Covercraft, so I don't know the differences, but I found one that I really liked and I stuck with it. And so I always do the E92. I have a Cover King Satin Stretch for it, and then their exterior version is Stormproof. But I don't have any data or experience with owning one.
Detail Factory wheel cleaning brush versus Easy Detail brush when it comes to coated wheels. Are there any pros versus cons?
Detail Factory, which one?
Wheel cleaning brush versus the Easy Detail brush for coated wheels.
I mean, I kind of want both. But the Detail Factory you only want if you're going to modify it, I think. So I put the Microfiber Madness Increda, the Creta pad or Creta brush cover on it. But if you can have only one, you definitely want the Easy Detail, because sometimes the Detail Factory thing doesn't fit, doesn't work.
Trera wants to know, is Adam going to make a big video on the house renovation?
Yeah, we have. We narrowed down all the content in the next couple of weeks. He's going to have that put together. He's going to build a house in 20 minutes, and then he's going to do a formal tour, and then we'll have the experts video, the obsession video from Eastside Kitchen, Laurel, and Chris. Chris, and then the Britannia folks who are all in that video.
Have you ever tried the Liberty garden hose reels? Liberty.
No, I don't know.
Doesn't
what
really
that
look
is.
like your style here.
No, I've never seen those.
You're an Ely guy when it comes to
Yeah, I mean, Ely's the best.
Jeffrey says, greetings, Matt and Chris from Down Under. Catching you live at work for a change. Thanks, Jeffrey. That's a long way away. What type of lights did you use in the new kitchen for under-the-top cabinets and by the floor?
Those were just some janky rope lighting that was part that the deal or the builder installed. So they're that typical tape light. Not great. I think they're 3K, so I'll probably just leave it alone.
Bryce wants to know, while you were up in Helen a week or two ago, did you discuss buying the neighboring house up there?
Yeah, I talked to him. It would be the next year, so January, February. The goal there, I've talked about this in the past, but the goal would be I kind of have to buy it. My driveway, the shared driveway, is technically on that property. I don't really want to buy it, but what happens if somebody goes in there and it's a disaster? It could be a real problem. I've got a giant, expensive boat anchor, that could become a problem. In that I own the big house, and if the little house is problematic, or the people don't like renters or whatever, it just could be. There's not that they could do anything about it, but it could make your life difficult. So the plan would be to buy that house and then not really modify it until maybe a year or so, until we had the capacity to do it. And then we would put it on OG, on Destination OG. We call it like Destination Not OG or something like that, and do it at a discounted price, or for $200 a night or something like that. And then we would also probably put it on Airbnb VRBO for a while, just to try to cover the cost of it.
Moving wants to know, hey Matt and Chris, hope all is well with the various ongoing projects. Did you receive the crinkle reels and M22 adapters for the pressure washer solutions yet? M22 adapters did come in. The crinkle reels are due on Tuesday, so we're getting close. Kevin Hawthorne says, good afternoon from Lakeland, Florida. You still need to come see us, Kevin. Hello from Maryland, says Valacious. Got my touchless today. Can't wait to use it tomorrow morning. Lots of people are getting their touchless and their Bilt-Hamber stuff this week.
I think we're caught up, and we finish all our back orders. So if you order today, it'll probably ship today. I mean, there's a few hours left. It'll certainly ship Monday. So we do have touchless in stock. We have Atomac in stock. I think we sold out of traceless.
Traceless, yes. It's going to be a little wait on that. Neil wants to know, hey, Matt, how annoyed were you having to tell people that you aren't divorced? You mentioned that in several videos over the last few weeks.
I think it's funny. People are like, I gotcha. And one guy was like, yeah, they're just putting on a brave face, for the kids. But clearly, those are the same guys that are like, I bet you the market's going to fall in the next, whatever. They never give you a definite time frame. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I kind of think I get why people would think it when I call it Michelle's house is kind of weird. The whole thing is weird. We got a second house that's 18 miles away. But this is kind of a weird town, kind of a weird setup, the way this place is set up. But it's been fun. I really have been enjoying the process of the outfitting it, setting it up. And it's, I just like a good project, And I like that initial pop of the project, all those initial things of figuring out where things go. It just, I don't know, makes me happy.
CK Mac wants to know, what's the story with calling everyone Mr.? Is that a Florida thing?
I don't know.
Like Mr. Perry. You do call him Mr. Perry, but
yeah,
I don't know.
It's fun. I don't know. We did that with our kids early on, and they just call them, but Mr. their first name. I don't know. I think it's kind of endearing, I guess.
Joshua Bellinger wants to know, can you talk more about the AR pressure washer that you and AR are working on? 3 gallons per minute is, I think, what you said.
Yeah, it's got a very specific enclosure, so it's like a self-contained stainless steel enclosure. It's 3 gallons a minute at 1,000 psi on a 20 amp, 110 volt circuit. So I gotta get things set up and test it out because I got one sitting on my shelf.
Jesse James says, hey guys, a few videos ago, Matt mentioned that it's a good idea to flush out the DI water from the hose with normal water.
Yep.
Why is this?
Well, any pressure washer that you've seen, or any pressure washer that we have, unless you bought some custom stainless head, is eventually going to have rusting issues to the brass pump head from DI water. You have to remember that deionized water is water devoid of minerals. And so water will naturally, chemically attract metals if it doesn't have metals in it generally. And so when it's deionized or polished, if you leave the polished water sit in the pump head for days and days and years at a time, it'll start to leach or pull the brass out of the brass head. So it'll start to eat away at the brass. It becomes very caustic. And so you end up with rusting on the brass head, and then you'll have issues with your check valves getting clogged in the future. So it's good practice. Now, that'll take years and years for that to happen. But, if you have a 30-year pump, you could potentially lead to problems, 5, 10, 15 years down the road if you use it a lot or if it sits a lot with water in there. So the simple good practice to do, which I don't know that's going to, again, I don't think it's going to be a huge issue long term, but it's good practice to just flush it. Why not? It takes literally 5 seconds.
Chris Racer wants to know, how come you use Lutron to control lights and not you with KNX?
I don't know what that other one is. Lutron is kind of the standard.
Okay, good. I didn't know what that meant either. JC wants to know, when are OG desk solutions coming? And any idea about packages, cost, offerings? I sit at my desk about 8 to 12 hours a day and would love to dial in my setup.
I don't know. It's on the short list, and I certainly feel like I could provide some value there. I don't think it's that far off, but we don't have it on the current docket. So that means it's definitely not in the next 6 months.
CJ wants to know, hey, Matt, what are your recommendations for quantity and placement of Cree lighting in different rooms?
I mean, there are lighting calcs that you could use. You could leverage, the design team could do a calculation for you. Generally speaking, I'm looking at symmetry. So like those small rooms in Michelle's house down in Middleton, it's like, well, 4 seems about right. And so I'm going to put 4 bulbs in there, and let's do the middle output bulbs at 1250. But you certainly could do a lighting calc to figure out, how you probably want 100-foot candles maximum in a room, maybe 90 or somewhere between 90 and 110-foot candles. And so you could just do an online lighting calculator to see how many 1100 lumen or 1250 lumen light bulbs do you need to get a reasonable lit room. But usually I can just look at the ceiling and just kind of put them symmetrically and get that gives me a good idea. Like this room has what? 4. So 4 overhead, 4 in ceiling, and then it has however many bulbs on that light fixture. I feel like there could be a little bit more light in here too if we wanted. So I mean, that you can certainly scientifically calculate it, but generally speaking, I just eyeball it.
Jordan wants to know, when will the 5-gallon drying aid be back in stock? Just made it through my 5-gallon cube of bead maker, and I'm ready to switch. I just looked it up, Jordan, and asked Donnie to make sure that's in stock, and then I looked. Some dude ordered like 3 or 4 of them, and so that's why they're temporarily out of stock. But we have them, so order it. They'll be back in stock today. Let's see. Matt. I'm joining late, so I apologize if it has been asked. I know his feelings towards Corvettes.
Oh, yep.
But I'm curious to see if he thinks the C8 ZR1 has any redeeming qualities.
0. It's even uglier than the regular C8. I have no interest. Yeah.
There you go, Jake.
Nope.
BH says, I got the Traceless this week. Man, is that stuff amazing. I've heard lots of good stuff about Traceless.
I still haven't used it yet. I got it sitting on my countertop now.
Good afternoon. Just purchased a bucket filler in black at a local show, and the guy wanted to thank you for the great video you have on it, says Mike McCullough. Bucket filler in black. Arkansas Fan 2012. I just bought a Marillac axle foamer.
Mm-hmm.
What's the dilution ratio for GSF?
Yeah. I don't know.
He doesn't use it.
Yeah, I don't do a hand pump foamer, so I'm not sure. You'll have to experiment with it. Let me know when you find out.
Bradley Odette says, do you have any recommendations for spray coating / sealant for the exposed plastics / metals of a motorcycle motor frame area? It's quite intricate for a typical coating and would be tough to get in all the nooks.
There isn't one. The spray-on stuff is just water delivered, and I just think it's a waste of time. I would want to actually just spend the time and disassemble a little bit if you needed to and actually use a real coating. Otherwise, you're just getting water beading and not a whole lot of protection.
George, maybe Jorge, says, hey, fellas, I'm in my early 20s. Just started a career in tech.
Mm-hmm.
I make great money in what used to be a cheapish area, but I cannot afford a house at current prices. What's your advice for young professionals earning on the higher end, struggling to afford housing? I need a garage. LOL.
Does my mic sound weird, Tim, or is it just my headphones? It sounds all right? All right. I don't know, man, what I would do if I'm younger. I mean, you're going to have to just figure out how to live life where eventually you end up buying a house, and it's going to be a larger percentage of your, the old 38% or less of your monthly income adage is no longer. And a lot of people that have lived in cities like Seattle or lived in Toronto, I should supposed to say, cities that have had absorbent retail real estate prices for a decade or longer, have figured out how to make it happen. But it's a problem that you have to figure out how to solve. One way to solve it would be to make more money, right? So to make choices and careers that have potential, and that may mean some sacrifices. You may need to work harder, work longer, work smarter, choose maybe a career path that maybe you otherwise wouldn't have chosen. Maybe it wasn't your first choice, so that you have that option. So when we're entering into an environment where the weak have the most power, and when the weak have the most power, they tend to make rash, emotional decisions rather than the smart, conservative choice. And so when the weak are in power, and it doesn't appear that the weak are going to be out of power anytime soon, even if we switch to a Republican presidency, the weak still have a lot of power. They have the majority. And so if that's the case, also the weak are the ones that generally get to go to college. The weak are the ones that are then getting out of college weak. And so I think the next generation, if you're strong, you're going to have a real opportunity to really excel. Maybe an easier opportunity because your competition base is going to be a much smaller number of people, because I think that it sure appears, my perception of this is that there are more weak people than strong people in the coming generations. So you have the ability to get ahead, I think, a little bit easier. And so even though things are going to be inflated price-wise, and it sure appears that you're probably never going to get a home, and there are going to be a lot of people that probably aren't going to be able to get a home, it sure seems that the baby boom generation has been pretty selfish. The ones that are in power now, they've been pretty selfish and kind of inflating their own assets and making it, they're not leaving it better for the next generation. So in order to win, you're going to have to be strong, and to be strong, you're going to have to really be well educated. You're going to have to be, willing to put in the time and effort that others are not. And you're also going to have to navigate an environment where when you are strong, the odds are against you. Most of the people are against you. So you're going to have to be cunning and smart and be able to kind of navigate some of these spaces, or just find a company, find a leader like an Elon Musk that where it's a meritocracy, where it's merit based, and you're gonna have to be smart about how you navigate the world. And if you do that, that means you're gonna make a lot more money than the weaker competition, which is the majority. And so I think, although the average person is going to have a much more difficult time in the next generation, in the next 30 years, sure appears, the above average person, so maybe I should say that instead of weak and strong, let's say average and above average. I don't mean weak to be disparaging. I mean people that just aren't that don't excel, that aren't above average. And so the above average person is going to have an above average opportunity to get anything you could want, because the number of average people or below average people is growing exponentially. So it's harder to make it on the average, but it will be easier to make it if you happen to be above average. And if you're not naturally above average, figure out how to become above average, if that makes sense. I know that's probably turned some people off, but we're just talking about the nature here. The fittest survive. Survival of the fittest sort of thing. And if I'm looking at it as a 44-year-old, knowing what I know about the world, and then viewing the world today versus where the world was, and attempting to not do it like the old man says, oh, the world's gone to crap, or it's so much better. It's really, the world is better now than it's ever been. If you were ever to choose a time to be born, you'd want to be born now versus any other time in history. But there are unique challenges, just like every generation has, that you're going to have to learn how to navigate. And the world power sure appears to be on the downswing, the United States. And so I'd always argued, what if we were the fifth biggest economy in the world? The Brits live a decent life, they have a pretty decent life, and there's lots of wealthy people, lots of above average, lots of upper middle class people in the UK. Maybe not as many as there were when they were at their peak of the British Empire, but the U.S. Empire sure appears to be giving in to the weak are much more outnumbering. The below average are outnumbering the above average, and so that generally leads to the fall. And so hopefully we don't crash and burn, that there's still opportunity. And so if you invest in yourself, invest in becoming above average, then again I think you have better odds of future success, if that makes sense.
Let's see. Dennis Beasley, MX304, Neil White all agree with you. Say truth, 100%. Yes, indeed, there are more weak people than strong in power. This is the rant we need. So there you go. Neil's happy.
Well, I mean, and there have always been weak people, but think about the greatest generation. Think about the World War II generation. Much less, much more. I would wager, and this is just my perception of it. I would wager if you were doing a standard deviation distribution that that standard deviation of average was pretty wide, right? And so to go 2 or 3 standard deviations outside of either above average or below average was less common than today. Now there is a really sort of skewed standard deviation is skewed towards below average, and so and as the generations have come, there have been more, and weak is a good example of people that if you were to talk to someone generationally younger, they would argue that they value their time more. Like, we're now dealing with Europeans, and the Germans and the Swiss are all taken off for the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, paid. Now it's not really paid because they have to pay 50-60% tax in order to get that. And so companies then have to raise prices across the world, and so we head toward that easier change in value of life, and that's okay, but that also means that the rarer opportunities become a little bit easier to attain if the vast majority of people are going to pursue lifestyle over success. They're going to choose less responsibility over more because of the weight that comes with that, or they're not going to be granted responsibility because they haven't earned it or they don't deserve it. And so knowing you're going to have to navigate that hierarchy, and that because there are more weak and more below average, there are going to be more below average people filling hiring roles and leadership roles, and that just means that great leaders have a better opportunity or easier opportunity to win. That's my perception of where we're heading. This could change pretty swiftly, pretty quickly, but we're losing, and I think a lot of that has to do with the loss of a moral compass. So we've kind of lost the part of the reason the Republic works is because of the divine part of it, right? The Constitution. What are the first few words? In God we trust, or what is it? These truths. I can't quote it, but you know what I'm saying. There's a loss in sort of a moral and superior power that would guide ethical decisions, and then with the loss of that, ethics gets a little muddier, and so we have a a unique time in history. It doesn't mean doom and gloom. It means let's figure out how to navigate that. It was Gary Vee says it doesn't matter who's president, he's going to succeed. It doesn't matter who's in power. It doesn't matter what country I'm in. I'm going to figure out a way to succeed. There are successful people in third world countries too. They just figured out how to navigate. The opportunities are fewer there, but the opportunity may be a little bit easier to get if you were exceptional.
Ben Finner needs our help to settle an argument.
Okay.
Says, does ego enforce pricing with a retail agreement or similar with authorized dealers?
Oh, sure.
Map pricing.
Yeah. Most big brands do that. Where now it's a question of how. Like Rupes is pretty. They've been very good about being very regimented to follow and make sure that you'll get a notice if you're selling something off pricing, and so it's up to the manufacturer to actually police that. But no one wants to lose their ego relationship. It's hard to get, and so they have to follow the policy. And so if you see ego on Amazon, it's probably not authorized.
Yeah, Rupes is super strict. We had a transcription error once and put like 98 cents instead of 99 at the end of a price, and we got an email about it. It's like, I know it's little guys, but still.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Standard Issue says, hey guys, this is Ryan at Standard Issue Manufacturing. Can't wait to get you guys some benches and carts to test in the upcoming months. What are top things that you are lacking in an awesome workbench/cart?
Well, I don't really have either one of them, so I'm not sure. If I am planning to put a workbench in a Helen garage. I don't know.
Cup holders. He likes cup holders.
No freaking cup holders. Definitely not a cup holder, and definitely not a bottle opener.
Oh, man. T-Self77 says, after the success of your diet, how often would you say you eat full carnivore now? What foods did you reintroduce to your regular diet, and how do you think that affects your goals at this point?
I was just cursing myself yesterday. By the way, so the sushi, I wasn't even thinking about it. I was like, I'm going to eat some sushi. That white rice is probably loaded with, folic acid. I had the worst drive to the garage I've had in months, and then I just felt like I was drugged. So maybe it was placebo, but I feel like, man, because I ate I ate probably 3 rolls, so it's a good, how much white rice is that? A good solid bowl, decent sized bowl of white rice.
So
that was a wake up call for me to stop. And I'm fasted at the moment. And what I would like to do, I always do this, and I go extreme. I'm just going to eat a steak, just one steak
a day, ribeye, 5 p.m.
Because I'm feeling sloppy, like I'm losing it. I'm falling apart. I'm 222, but I feel like I'm falling apart. So to answer your question, it's been Carnivore Plus for probably 3 months now, 3 or 4 months, and I need to tighten up.
Back to Mike McCullough, who was talking about the bucket filler or something like that. The guys over at Rupes here at the show that I'm at were talking you up when I was asking about polishers. Still think I'm going to stick with my Milwaukee, however. So which show are you at, Mike? Tell us where you are.
Yeah, and why is there a bucket filler? That's my thing.
We're going to enforce that policy on Rupes. Hey, Matt, this is from Dylan. I'm thinking about selling my Lexus and getting a Mazda 6 to speed up saving for a C63. What do you think? Should I go for it, or should I just keep saving and hold on to the Lexus?
Yeah, this is tricky. I'm probably the wrong person to ask this advice because I always come up with cockamamie schemes. It's probably a bunch of nonsense what you're thinking. But, if you're kind of all about it at the moment, I always follow my gut, I'm going to sell something, buy something different. And that's, as long as you can do it without beating yourself up, I think just recognize that, you're probably thinking about, I can do this, but I really like Mazda Speed 3. It'd be kind of cool to play with that car. And as long as you can, remind yourself to enjoy that process of, I'm going to downgrade so I can upgrade, but I'm really doing it because I want to change it up and do something different. Just be honest with yourself. Then I say go for it.
Super chat here, $5 US from Nicholas Kane. Hey, Matt, just wondering if there are any plans on having interior vacuums, floor cleaners, and interior cleaners in the OG store.
He's talking about house? Or is he talking about interior of the car?
I don't know. He doesn't say. So, Nicholas, let us know if there's any plans on having interior vacuums, floor cleaners, and interior cleaners.
I would think he's talking about the house.
Yeah, it sounds like the house.
And the answer is, I think so. I've gotten a response that I could have never envisioned. I said, "Hey, just send me an email for the list." I think we're up to 500 or 600 people that I've sent the list to. And people are like, "I'll just put a Google Sheet." Well, because it's my freaking list, and I don't want to just send it out to the world. I'd rather, I like that touch, that personal, hey, if you want it, let's, just shoot me an email and I'll shoot it back to you. Hey, thanks. Here you go. And so that is, it's telling me something. Also, when I do a house vlog, I'm kind of cringing at making that house vlog because I don't know, oh man, what are people going to think? I got a second house that's in the same freaking town. And so I actually shot the intro to that video and then I redid it, which I never do. We only redo it if the audio goes bad or something. I redid it because I'm like, I'm not explaining this properly. And so but that video has like 3-4 times the amount of engagement and views and interest than me making a video on a GT3. Not to say I'm going to stop making videos on GT3s, but I think I need to continue to make more videos on, the house to me is attached to the garage, and it's part of it's part of the obsession. So I think I'm going to continue to lean in. And if I'm going to lean in, clearly, and I think about how many hours I spent on that spreadsheet, and how many things I've had to buy to build that spreadsheet, how many things I bought that were wrong. I think there's some real value in there. Because it's annoying to buy all that stuff on that spreadsheet. Like going to weird websites, it just freaking sucks. And so what if I just aggregated it all and got it all in one spot and build a package and then build sub-packages around that? I'm going to try.
RB says, hey guys, hello from New Zealand. I've got a G20 BMW 3 Series.
Okay.
I'm looking to upgrade the speakers from the standard hi-fi system.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any recommendations that work with the OEM fittings?
Check out BAV Sound, and also check out is it Alpha something BMW. So, and there's Bimmer Works. If you just Google OE replacement BMW, you'll get a bunch of different brands. But I've always bought the BAV Sound stuff, so it'd be a direct OE replacement.
Alpha 1.
I think so, yeah.
Right? Oh.
That's another one.
Let's see here. Everything in Miami. Ask, I guess, an appropriate question here. Hey, Matt, any interest in opening an OG store down here in Miami?
No, I don't have aspirations to do showrooms, but I mean, I'm not saying that I never would. We're going to do this Villages thing and see how it goes, and then who knows, maybe I end up with flagship stores in flagship cities. I don't know, but as of right now, no, I don't have aspirations to do that. But if as we build our team and we build our our leadership, all of our leaders, or even Chris is sort of a young leader in the world of leaders, leadership. So we're all kind of young in our leadership development. And so, I mean, we're only 6 or 7 years into this. And so what does it look like when we're 15 years in? Have we built the team to be able to go and pursue something like that? Maybe. I mean, a lot of it's going to be on them to pursue that kind of thing. I mean, I've cast the vision. Does something like that fit into the vision where we have we pick 5 cities and we go and we build a, flagship store, and then who knows, maybe then that turns into stores all over the place. I think there is a case to be made, not for a retail store, but for a showroom. And that showroom then generates interest, and that showroom could very easily cover the cost of itself by just finding new people in each town. So when I first started it, I would have said absolutely not, but I'm not opposed to it, and it depends on what our team looks like, say, 10 years from now.
Sullivan Service Center says, what is Matt's recommendation on bed mattresses?
So I just went down this path again because I'd buy a bunch for the Middleton house. I bought a Beauty Rest Black level 4. I forget what their nomenclature is, but the highest level version. The disadvantage to doing some of the really tall mattresses, then it's really hard to find sheets. Because it drives me crazy when the fitted sheet pops off. Oh, I hate that so much. It makes it I can't sleep right. And so Effortless Bedding is kind of hokey. It's like an As Seen on TV brand, but Effortless Bedding makes the best fitted bottom sheet for, and I bought tons and tons of sheets, maybe last year. So Effortless has these really great little, same thing that Tempur-Pedic, I think, kind of, I don't know who came out with it first, but the Effortless has a band, the elastic band that kind of creates a triangle around the corner that holds it in place. And then I had a follower sent me a bunch of because he went down this rabbit hole further than I had ever even considered going, and he sent me like 12 different really ultra high-end brands that I guess, really ultra wealthy people buy, and they're usually only in big cities. And he actually settled on doing the Stearns & Foster Reserve. So I bought a Stearns & Foster Reserve for the Middleton to compare to the Beautyrest Black. So those are $5,000 mattresses, but there are 10, 20, 15, $50,000 mattresses out there in the world that use more fancy materials. So right now, doing the big box, highly marketed, super high margin Beautyrest and Stearns & Foster stuff, but I'm certain there's better. I just, in some instances, I fall into the consumer buying the best marketed product, and so that's what I ended up with.
You can only go down so many rabbit holes.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it's something that may be worthwhile going down at some point, but I mean, I just haven't.
808 Johnster wants to know, is there any update on the metered bucket filler?
Yeah, I had a call, and it was the wrong guy. He was like a different department. So now I should have another call, and I'm hoping to become a dealer here shortly. But I love it. Now, what we need to do in order to justify, because you could buy the darn thing on Amazon if you want, but I want to build the package where we have all the right fittings for it. Because right now it's kind of clunky. That plastic quick disconnect is junk.
Johan wants to know, how did you recover the cost from the LZ project? Was it worth it in the long run?
I don't know. We certainly haven't recovered the cost of it yet. The goal wasn't achieved where we didn't collaborate together very well. It was just too I didn't do a good job of getting an agreement from Adam for us to collaborate. He's just he's super busy, and it's hard to fit what we're doing in this, building this fancy house for an audience of race car enthusiasts, and so if I were to do it again, I'd figure out how are we going to weave that. I would have spent more time. We both just assumed that this would be easy, and because this is what we do, we make videos. And so I would have had a more specific schedule of exactly, what we needed to accomplish. It's just I'd never done it before, so I didn't know how the project would go. And so how do you build a schedule for something you don't know what the schedule is going to be? I don't know how long it's going to take. But it did. I learned a lot of, one, collaborating, two, how to operate the business. If I'm not there, could the business still operate? I think we took a step forward in our leadership structure as well during that process of getting leaders to step up, because I'm not there, and then me meeting with them and sort of transferring the authority, transferring the responsibilities. I think long term it's a great move. The one thing I'm wishing that I spent a little more time on, because if I wasn't so deeply involved in the project, I would have been able to really leverage the future products with different brands, like in the kitchen and bath and flooring and all that kind of stuff space. But yeah, I think it certainly isn't a negative. It's all positive. It's a question of whether, how long does it take me to get my money back? I don't know. I don't really care. The money spent on just the time, the time and the humans, to be there.
Moving says, I was looking to order Cree for my garage, but did not plan on the 12 to 16 week ETA. My fault. It made me wonder why they're made to order and not stock, despite being a standard sized product. Any insight?
Well, they are still having chip supply chain issues, at Cree. They should be like a 2-week build to order. I just haven't been able to, they haven't been able to make them for us to even place a stocking order yet. And it's just a major commitment, a major, inventory commitment that I have to make at some point. But it's chips and LED chips and light switches seem to be the last thing that are still having supply chain slow issues.
Invasion HD has a question, and Brad Hone also has the same question here. Can you add 2 or more Lutron dimmers on the same circuit for ceiling lights? For example, if I had a switch to turn on the lights at multiple entry points.
Meaning, for sure, yeah. So there's 2 ways to do it. You can you can just wire it and have it wired, right? Which you wouldn't want to do. But the beauty of the Lutron, if you did a Lutron either Caseta or Raw 2, is you can marry as many picos as you want, and the picos don't even need a box. You just stick it on the wall. Just screw it to the wall with a little drywall anchor. You can put them anywhere you want. So yeah, you could have 4 entries, 5 entries, 6 entries. You can even turn the light switch off from another room. So yes, very simply done. The way to do it with Raw 2 is you get an RRD Pro as your main switch, and then you marry as many picos, which is that little remote control thing, as you want. And you have full dimmability from any entry point. You can do 2-way, 3-way, 4-way, 5-way, 6-way, as many as you want.
Hi, Mike, our guy at the show with Rupez, says he's at the EAA Air Venture show in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. So it's Experimental Aircraft Association. Thanks, Mike. Patrick says, I'm glad you brought this up, Patrick. Hey, Matt, can I get the email for the company y'all worked with on the new OG hats? I want to have some made for our team at work before they return to Japan.
Yeah, it's David at Great Lakes, right? Isn't it David at...
I can look it up here in a second. So here's some of the hats.
Yeah, the hats are really good.
These are sweet.
And they are in the store, and they are in stock, and they are shipping?
Yep. Shipped some out today.
Yep.
In lots of different colors. There's 3 styles. One says dialed in.
So several things that are different than what you've experienced before. First of all, the material is a little better. The trucker style, or the mesh, is quite a bit softer. It's not soft, but it like if you look at it on camera, it doesn't hold shape as much, which means it's way more comfortable. It holds shape on your head because your head is the darn shape, right? Silicone band in the back is more comfortable. The sweat wicking fabric that we used is better. It's super comfortable. We have the banding, the Obsessed Garage logo banding inside the hat. We did the contrasting bill, the fabric on the bottom of the bill, and then just really great embroidery. It's really good. The little hits on the side that we have, the little, either woven or some of them are metal. It's freaking cool, man. These hats, I'm telling you, when you get one, you want to buy all of them because it's the best hat you'll ever own. That's what I wanted. I said, I don't want to mess up something I already like, but it's stretchy too, so it has a flex fit like stretchiness, but in a mesh style hat that I can't wear a full hat anymore. It's just so much more comfortable having that breathability of the back part. It's so great.
And for all you large-headed guys, it's got plenty of room. If your head can't fit into this, you got a problem. I got a 3.
Oh, you sell
normally
3.
Normally on most hats I go to 1, and this one's 3. These things are nice.
Oh yeah,
I like it.
Yep.
And I couldn't find David's email, but email Bryce at Obsessed Garage. He'll put you in touch, so you can.
So the hats, the garage giveaway is going on. So if you buy a hat and you get 25 entries, we do have entry level or like a starter kit of Wera, starter kit of Koken. Were we able to get Stahlvilla, or did they?
So I'm looking here at it right now. So we have, there's a Hazat. There's both those little cases, which are pretty sweet. Koken, 1/4 inch, 3/8 cents. Where's the other one? I gotta go to page 2 here. Still going. I don't see this one in there. Maybe I missed it. Because Tommy gave me this and said we're supposed to talk about this too. Which one is this?
That's Koken.
Koken? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so there's I just put together like a little what I thought would be a good starter kit to kind of get your feet wet in the Japanese German tool range, and while I'm putting together the bigger, greater master collections.
Fine Detailing says, hey Matt, did you know Griot's interior cleaner has a pH of 11? Do you think that's a little high for regular cleaning? I'm concerned it could strip any protection that's on the seats.
Well, you shouldn't have protection on the seats, but no, I think it's fine. I mean, not all pH is created the same way, and so not all pH. So pH doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be extremely alkaline heavy. Like to get to a pH 11, you can use different chemicals to get there. And the Griots is like a legacy product they've had for 25 years, and with little to no issues ever. So I've been using it for 15 years probably. Let's see. No. 2006. Yeah, coming up on 20 years I've been using interior cleaner and never had an issue. So no, I think you're fine.
Jim TL15 says, "Can we get a Mike and Mike podcast episode where you interview both of them? It would be fun."
Yeah, I can do that.
Let's see here. Upgrading brass swivel on the Cox hose reel. Do you like the Mosmatic one or the Cox stainless swivel better?
Oh, the Mosmatic for sure. Yeah, but I don't have one. I mean, the Cox stainless is fine. The Mosmatic is next level. I should put one on mine.
Brandon says, "Hey Matt, sold my 2013 E92 M3 DCT. Picked up a 2020 M2 competition manual. If it were you, would you have hung on to the E92 even though DCT versus going with the M2 comp in manual?"
Well, I don't like the M2 comp. I would prefer the regular M2. No, I probably would have kept the E92 if of those two choices.
JC says, "For the OG site / apps, did y'all contract developers, or do you guys have in-house developers? Can you give us any idea on how much it costs you guys time or / time frame?"
No, Bryce does almost all of it. He will sometimes work with either the app company directly or Shopify's back end, or sometimes we'll retain somebody, but very rarely. Bryce does almost all of it. He's a wizard. And what he doesn't know, he learns. He goes and figures it out. At some point, we're going to have to hire somebody who's dedicated to that. But the beauty of Shopify is that until you get to where we're at, I mean, you don't need a lot of custom stuff. You can usually work within the theme and have really great operating site. And so that's the nice part about using a provider like I think our site has been down a total of maybe 2 minutes in history, and so that's the really great part about giving away a good percentage of your of your profit to them, because you got to pay them. Until you get to Shopify Plus level, I mean, you're talking about spending. You shouldn't be spending any more than a few $100s a month or less when you're starting out. I think now what our site probably costs is about $5,000 a month, or something like $6,000 a month, something like that, excluding transaction fees. Transaction fees are like $50,000 a month or something.
2-point-something% of a lot.
Yeah. So, I think you can do it all. I mean, I did it without anybody for the first 3 or 4 million in sales, right? 3 million in change. I did it all myself. I didn't hire anybody. And then eventually I worked with Brad to move over, because I had 2 sites. I had the Shopify site and I had the content site. So then I got some help to sort of migrate and put that all together, and then they kind of turned me loose on that. And then I started hiring some people, and we've done it all internally. So, I mean, for the development side of things with Shopify or Squarespace or these prefabbed service providers, that service, if you're willing to put in the time, costs nothing. But, would you be better off? Would I have been better off just, investing and hiring somebody to do it for me and then focusing my time on something else? I mean, maybe, I guess, but if I were to do it all again, I would have done it myself the same way.
Super chat here from TWXJ. $9.99. Happy Friday, OG crew. Matt, do you have any recommendations for running shoes? I took up running recently and I'm looking to upgrade. Thanks for all the great content. I'm
always a Nike guy. I used to be an Asics guy. The current Nikes that I'm running in. Shoot, I don't remember the model. They only have like 3. The one always simple go-to is Pegasus, right? The Nike Pegasus. You can always buy those. Oh shoot, I don't know which ones I have. They're like $180 or something like that. But they're one of the Fly Knit something or others, or Nike Fly something. People are always looking for some alternative, but they always look kind of dorky. Hokas, and whatever you do, don't freaking do this, Chris. I bet you have a pair. Do you have a pair of On Clouds?
No.
I've been after Michael Stevens about his On Clouds. And I had one guy who was telling me, a real nice guy at M-Wave, and he's like, look, On Clouds are real popular. I said, that doesn't mean it's cool. Skechers are real popular in the villages, but that doesn't mean it's cool. If you have On Clouds, just go grab a pair of scissors, cut them in half, throw them in the trash. They're not cool at all. Nothing cool about it. And I'm real about it. The same person who's On Cloud is a Peloton dad. They're the same person, same people. So no On Clouds. Don't do it.
I tried them on once. So I went to Fit to Run at Millennia.
Mm-hmm.
So they do the thing where they measure your feet and want you to do all that. And I told them, just bring me like 4 or 5. I don't want to look at them. I don't want to know what they are. I just want to try them on and walk around them.
Yeah.
So they gave me the Hoka, the On Cloud, Asics, blah, blah, blah. I ended up going with Asics.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd recommend going to one of those places.
I mean, Asics are generally the most legit, running shoe. They're more purpose driven, but they usually don't look very good. But yeah, the On Cloud, I guarantee we're gonna get a bunch of comments. No, you don't understand. The On Clouds are good. They're good shoes. It feels real good. It's cool. You don't understand you don't even know what cool is. And then they'll start to insult me in some form or fashion. And they're the same guys that are getting on a Peloton and pedaling a cadence of 42 and thinking they're getting the workout in. Yeah.
Speaking of which,
same guys. No frickin' On Clouds.
Have you heard the interview that Theo Vaughn did with Dana White?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I was listening to that the other night. And I thought, oh, man, Matt, I know he ate
I
this up.
love that. It was great. It's great.
Peloton guy. It's good. All right.
You see the CEO? That's who.
I did look him up, yeah.
Yeah, he's a dork,
That's funny.
Yeah, that's... you don't want to be that guy. There's like... 1 fraction of a small percent of killers that get on a Peloton and hammer down, but most of you guys are reading and watching TV while you're just kind of moseying through the meadows. That doesn't count. Like my pastor at church, we were doing a men's group, and he was talking about his working out. He always reads. I'm like, what? What do you mean you read? He's like, well, I get on the treadmill and I read magazines, I read books. I'm like, how are you able to read a book while you're on the treadmill? He's like, well, I just maintain a pace of 2. I said, so you're basically telling me you're doing nothing. You're not doing anything. So I said, I was always busting his chops. I'm like, you need to run. You need to be do intervals or do some sort of ladders or run as fast as you can and try to get a little faster next time so you actually get a workout. There's a reason why you're 80 pounds overweight. It's because you're walking on the treadmill and you're thinking, well, now I can go eat a pizza because I walked on the treadmill. Well, you burned 80 calories and then you ate 1,800. That math doesn't frickin' work. You can't read a book while you're on the treadmill. Unless you're walking at an incline of 12, and then you can't read anymore because you're frickin' dying. Gosh, it's so stupid.
More running suggestions here. Then we have a super chat. Greg Bonnier, $10 US, his first ever super chat. What's the deal with 5-liter Bilt-Hamber bottles being so flimsy?
I thought they're solid as a rock.
I've even touched one. Then he follows it up with any status on the squeezy bottles for soap.
Yeah, I think we're done. We got our final production prototype samples on in transit. So hopefully they pass, and we're good to go. Maybe the handle. I don't know. The gallons seem pretty stout to me. That the lid is pretty crazy. I thought it was a pretty awesome gallon.
Let's see here. Hey guys, thanks for the Cree recessed lights. That's from D-Chop. I love them. Thoughts on the cafe stuff? Have their induction range. Also about to buy a vent hood. Very excited. Weird thing to get excited about.
I haven't used the range or the oven yet. I think it's okay. It was just that was the best option that they had. Like what's the best? I didn't know if I was ever going to go and replace the appliances in it, so I just in the house, and so. It's terrible. Everybody's making fun of me. It's like, what are you doing with the microwave above the range? I said the same freaking thing to them. I said, wait a minute. I'm going to spend $800,000 on this house, and I can't get like a 42-inch or 48-inch range. It's only a 30. Yep, only a 30. So I think what they're trying to do is that, they're not in the high-end business. They're in the, sell to the masses business. And so I'm sure they've gone down that route or tried it and realized it's not as profitable. So they want to be able to, and if you can load the price of the house up, I'm sure they've learned that maybe that's a deterrent for people, or I don't know. But it seems okay. But in the realm of like that sort of upper echelon of the mid to low grade appliances, it seems decent enough.
This guy Amado says, "Hey there, guys, how you doing? I'm looking for your advice. I'm thinking about building a single garage for my truck.
Okay.
Do you have any recommendations for size? Thank you."
Well, if you have a truck, you're going to want, I would think 16 feet wide if you can help it. Which is going to be pushing the limits of probably what you can fit. So you want 16 feet wide, and then depending on if you have an extended cab or if you have a full bed length, depending on what the length of your truck is, I think an F-150 crew cab is like 200 plus inches long. So what is that? I think it's like 220 inches. So how many feet is that? 9 feet.
No more than that. 231.7 inches, according to Ford's website.
So no, yeah. 12. What am I saying? 9 feet, 18 feet.
Yeah, short of 20.
Yeah, so 18 feet. So you need 22 feet in length. 24 feet would be ideal. So 24, I think, is the magic depth formula for a garage. If you can get 24, if you can get 22, you're good. You're okay. You can put cabinets and an F-150. It'll just be tight. But if you can get 24, you can fit basically anything short of a boat, and so you can fit a deep cabinet like a Lista or a Russo or an MSS Plus. You can fit a deep cabinet, and you can fit an F-150 extended cab or a crew cab, I should say. So I think 16 by 24, and then ceiling height. Size you can get it. It would be really nice to have 10 feet, and then you definitely want at least an 8 foot tall door. So don't do it like a 9 feet. So you'd probably want a 10 foot by 8 foot door, 10 foot wide, 8 foot wide, tall.
Rephrase wants to know: do you like the crate and barrel plates and bowls more than the plates and bowls at the house in Helen?
So the Noritake stuff is definitely, it's much more expensive, and it's a different class of plate. It's a better quality plate, but it's kind of, the style isn't as good, I don't think. The crate and barrel is cheap. Those plates, let's say they're $8. It probably costs them 10 cents to make. So that they're utilitarian, good. Buying those gets me the ability to buy Yaxle knives. You gotta. I guess you don't have to draw the line somewhere, but I generally do.
Christopher Davis wants to know: do you have any recommendations on handheld shower heads?
Look at what Newport Brass has.
Also, how's the response going when it comes to the Dream Garage giveaway?
Pretty good. We're on track to, we're not going to get rich off of it, but we'll hopefully double our money, to be able to pay to do it. I would think would be the goal. So I think we're probably $30,000 in profit or something like that. So we're a third of the way there to paying for it.
Jesse James has a good idea here. The bucket filler, what's it called? Metered bucket filler.
Yep.
Should be made in OG blue or gray and or black to be exclusive and set it apart from the Amazon version.
I like that. I like what you're thinking there.
Good job, Jesse James. Let's see here. Matt, what would you recommend for cleaning gym equipment? Something to do a quick spray and wipe.
Carpet eraser would work really well for that. It's just a question of, is the alcohol going to break down the finish of, powder coat finish? I think it'd be fine. I just don't, the alcohol content isn't enough in all surface cleaner. I would probably try to use all surface cleaner as much as I could, but I just don't know if that's going to kill the, bacteria and stuff if you're getting real sweaty. But, they use at our gym, which has done really well, is what Fantastic. That's what we use at the gym. And I don't think they dilute it. I think they just buy it straight up.
We use Fabuloso. That stuff smells weird. I don't like it. Eraser smells awesome too if you use eraser. Let's see. Brandon wants to know, what's the HOA situation at Michelle's house?
It's interesting because it's a massive planned unit development and it has development districts. And so there's a corporate architectural review board, and that's about it. So you'll get a letter if you do something stupid on the outside, but it's not. There aren't like Karens running around with clipboards and dorky guys out there in their golf carts looking. Now they'll call the review board, but it's run. They understand that, and so it's run very specific. If it's a letter of the law, just follow the rules, and there's no interpretation. And so I don't have any aspirations to do anything different in that house. So the exterior, so I got my driveway I want, I got the garage doors I want, so I shouldn't be in any trouble.
Jason Canterbury has some lighting questions here.
Okay.
Do the Cree CR6T retrofits require cans to attach themselves?
Yes.
We have 6-inch cheap Halo canless lights installed currently.
No.
Will the CR6Ts work, or does Cree have a canless option?
They do. They're not very good. They're better than the Halos, but I don't like them very much. They're not part of the normal Cree line. They're part of the Cree, what do they call it? There's like a lower line. It's like C-Light line or something like that. They're just not great. So I don't have a good solution for you there. I've had to do that same thing in other areas, and they're just not. I've never found them to be very good. Even remember my home theater at the couple of houses ago, I had to do those J-Box type or canless lights, and they're not great. If I'm having to do canless, what I would want to do is do DMF linears. So that's check out the now they're $180 a piece. So $110 to $180 a piece, but we have the 6-inch circle lights. They're a surface mount light, but they look like a can. I would rather have those.
You can speak to this. SR said he bought the wallet today as his entry for the garage giveaway.
I'm pretty pumped about the wallet. I was reluctant because it's not cool looking, but it's functionally excellent. It's I think it's the wallet to do. It's really good. I ditched my Ridge. I've had a Ridge for a decade.
As long as I've known you.
Yep. I've had 10 different Ridges, but every 6 or 8 months I buy a new one just 'cause I like to get a new one. But my cards get jacked up, or the edges sort of delaminate.
Super chat here from Tyler Thompson. $19.99. I want to buy a new 1322.
Okay.
To replace my existing wall mount Active 52.
Yep.
Can I email support for help identifying new items needed for the connections?
Oh, for sure. Yep.
Definitely, Tyler. Support at Obsessed Garage. They have all the answers you need. That's awesome. Thank you. Will you ever sell garden hose reels?
I don't know. The Ely is so good, and they only sell direct. I'd like to.
Let's see here. Got fitted for...
Do they need me, Tim?
The shower guys?
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Let's see. Matt says, go get fitted for a pair of shoes at a good running store. Yeah, other people's recommendations are pretty much pointless because their feet and running gait may be totally different from yours.
I did that. I've done that a bunch. What's the place in Winter Park? And that there's a place like the original place of, the fitting, and I'd never really had great success doing that. I would just buy a bunch of shoes and find one that works. Find a pair that works for me. But he's right. I mean, it's. Yeah, but I want it to look good too.
Let's see. Hey there, Matt. When are you going to test the Ego pressure washer with my metering idea? This is Spencer.
I didn't do that. I used the buckets, and I'm glad. So I tested it last night, and the video will be up this weekend. I wanted to figure out the unique circumstances that people would have to go through when you're in an apartment, and I figured out different siphoning. Like if the bucket has like this much water left in it, it'll suck some. It needs a little gravity of the water in order to make sure it doesn't start siphoning or start to get sucking air. So just little nuances I figured out. But I used 29.15 gallons total. 10.5 gallons of that was in the rinse and wash bucket. So you'd carry your rinse and wash bucket down first, right? And then you needed four 6-gallon buckets, with 5.75 gallons in each. So if you could get away with it if you had 4 or 5-gallon buckets, just fill up four buckets. But you need 4 buckets. Kind of stinks to do a full wash the way that I wash. Now, if you skip the Bilt-Hamber step, which I'm sure many people would, then you could do it with 3 buckets. 13.9 gallons is what I used during the process. And this is my process. I used 7.67 gallons to do the wheels. I used 4.75 gallons to do the Bilt-Hamber. And then that 18.9 minus that is what I used in the normal rinse and wash step.
Winter Park Running Stores. Track Shack?
Yep, that's it.
There's also Fleet Feet.
Track Shack is the store I always used to go to, back in the day. When I was doing triathlons and stuff, I'd always go there.
Let's see. Randall wants to know, hey, Matt, any update on the Press-All squeeze bottles and the stainless steel tips?
Yep, they're both on the same shipment coming in for final approvals, the final also fluorination, and then we have a solution for a 360, so the tubes will be silicone instead of the hard acrylic plastic that we had before. We're so close. It's going to be so good.
He also asks, if I have a 750 milliliter Press-All bottle, how much Atomac would I put in it to be 5%? Just got all 3 Bilt-Hamber products in today.
You just go to like a dilution calculator somewhere. What is 5% of
750 is 37.5.
There you go. So put 40 milliliters in there and you're good to go.
Rephrase says, I've never seen a video mentioning the 3/4 Prevost QCs in the store. They are miles better than the MTM ones. Any reason they aren't included in the ultimate package for garden hoses?
I think they're too bulky. It's got a big fat end to it. I mean, I have one on my bucket filler, but they're too bulky, I think, to use on the pressure washer side of things. But they are pretty nice. The other thing I don't like about them is they're not stainless. They're just zinc plated. But we do carry them. We sell a fair bit of them. I do use it occasionally. I don't talk about it very much. I don't know why. But it is, fit and finish is really nice.
Standard Issue wants to know, why do you always use stainless shelf with a bracket versus the floating style? Floating seems to be a cleaner look.
Yeah, I mean, I love the floating option. The floating from the company we buy our shelves from is really expensive, like 2 or 2.5 times. So I'm actually, it's funny you mentioned that. We were just talking about that when we're doing our DI solution of making our own version of floating. The other thing that you have to think about with floating, especially if you're putting on drywall and if you're going to put anything heavy on it, that's where we need to maybe make some concessions, because you don't want to have to torque it down so tight that the darn drywall cracks. So, but we're going to have a solution for that.
Cannot wait for the Press-All stainless steel and industrial heads. I have a $500 bill waiting. Also, I tend to like the 500 milliliter bottles better. Any reason you prefer 750? 500 is just easier to manage, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm back and forth on it, but I just think the 750s look better. You know, it's better. The label is a little taller, but the 500s are great. You know, a little more manageable. You know, it's not like we're rifling through tons of product. If you have a good product, you don't need a lot of it anyway. So, yeah, I mean, I can see what you're saying there. I don't disagree.
Functional Garage says, hey, Matt, how would you go about polishing PPF from water spots? I've got Cover Guard installed on my car and thought about going for Rupes Yellow Foam Pad and Sonak's Perfect Finish.
Yeah, that'll probably do it. I mean, nothing different. Just polish it just like paint. The only difference is if once it's corrected, it's corrected, so you may only need to make a pass or two. So just figure out what process works. On the Golf GT3 RS, I'm planning on polishing it here in the next day or few days. Just keep it simple. You know, if it's polishing the water spots off, then go for it. Now, once you polish, you're going to want to coat because you're destroying the top coat. You're basically pulling the top coat of the PPF off.
Bob wants to know, what's the update or what happened with the 20 amp modern day vacuum?
It's still in the short list.
We have one.
Yeah, if you want one, we have it. You know, so I just haven't done a lot of work with it. It's quite a bit louder. But if you want one, you can hit up Manny at obsessedgarage.com and he can talk to Tommy and get you set up with one. But I just haven't dialed it all in yet.
He then follows up with, Bob keeps up pretty well here. Any news on the $1,000 compressor that you had in the works?
Yeah, I gotta get moving on that too. Gosh, there's so much to do.
It's a very long short list. That's what we're saying.
Oh my gosh, you're killing me, Bob. Take it easy on me. I'm gonna lock up here and do nothing.
Henry D says the new house is legit.
It's fun. I'm surprised how much I'm enjoying it. It's just a nice. That house was my 25-year-old dream house. When I was 25, like, man, if I could have a house like this, with a 3-car garage, a big driveway, it's flat, it's got a nice patio on the back for doing a cool outdoor kitchen. It's got a bonus room upstairs to do a home theater, a nice family room. The one thing about it, those cabinets are like hot garbage, like the worst cabinets I've ever laid hands on. I just don't understand why they won't let us do like a decent cabinet. I really wish I could have videoed or should have. I wish I did video the whole. What I'll do if I buy another one. So that house is officially for sale at all times, right? So if somebody buys that house and I go through the process again, I'll talk to Villages, and hopefully by then I'll have an even better relationship with them and let me video the whole process of buying a house.
Oh, you mean like when you sat down and went through all the choices? And
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yep.
And how long was that supposed to take? How much time did they have set aside?
It was supposed to be 3 5-hour appointments, and I did it in like 2 hours and 58 minutes. It's a lot of choice. That sounds like if you're not like very decisive, like it could be a real problem. You know, some people like especially if you're spending like your life savings, right, and you're borrowing money to do this. I was doing it a little bit differently, and I'm spending Michelle's life savings, right, not mine. And I'm just like, this check to get that, give me everything. And the house was, you know, a lot less than. It wasn't like I was building some big custom mansion. I'll be right back. You hold court here, Chris.
All right, let's see here. Are the white pop caps better for the new squeezable bottles? I don't like the current black ones in the store. They don't seem to have a click open/close. Also thought about a twist top. All right, I'm writing that down. Rephrase. That's a good idea. 258 flat. Yes, that is actually the time, Henry D, that he did that. Have you tried the new CarPro windshield coating, the D-Quartz G-Force? I'll ask him, Functional Garage, when he comes back. We actually have, let me go to the store real quick. What's the new product we have, Tim? CarPro Clarify, pH2O phobic, kind of. Glass clearing coating. That's the newest one in the store. Let's see. Let me go back to some great questions that I could answer here. Oh, yeah, there aren't any. That's okay. Matt's working on his shower. So I'm just going to stop talking until he comes back. All right, here we go. This is good from Bob. Let's make a deal. No more cars or houses until we finish press all and $1,000 compressor. I like that, Bob. That's a great idea. I'll share that with him when he comes back. Oh, Anthony. Hey, Chris, when are you going to do more tours? That's a great question, Anthony. So, the Rag Company is doing a little garage makeover in August. I think our guys, Matt, Wabanita, as she is called, Trevor, Mike F., I think Tommy's going out there too. They're all going out there for like 9 or 10 days in August. So, while they're gone, I will do a tour of the new building, a proper tour. Matt's done a couple, but his aren't as good as mine. So we'll definitely get one of those done. Matt D, thoughts on Japanese whiskey? Oh, good question, Matt. I'm not a huge fan of Japanese whiskey. My brother got me one time that was decent, and then any ones I've tried since then have been just not my style. I'm more of the sweet corn bourbon, obviously, sort of thing. So Japanese isn't really my wheelhouse, but I do enjoy trying them. Hey, Matt. From Neil White, I'm going to order a t-shirt. Do they run small or big? I'm 6'1" and not fat. Thanks. I wear a 2XL. Matt will try to squeeze into a large now. He's more of an XL, but he likes to squeeze into a large. 6'1" and not fat. What do you think, Tim? What is that, a large? Yeah. How tall are you, Tim? 5'10". All right, so Tim's 5'10". He's also not fat. He wears a medium, so I'd say 6'1", not fat. I go large. Tyler Thompson, $19.99. Chris, you got this. Is it a terrible idea to use touchless for contact wash after using pre-wash? Oh, that's a good question, Tyler. Unfortunately, I have no idea because I don't do that. But I'll ask Matt as soon as he gets back. Henry D, appreciate this channel and what goes into making these lives damn near every Friday. Well, thank you, Henry. Yeah, we missed a couple there. I was out of town, and then Matt was out of town. And so now we're both, well, I'm back for a while. He'll be gone to the Rag Company for a couple weeks, but I think we're doing one next week for sure. Yeah, Neil, get a large, and if it doesn't fit, then send it back. We'll either size it down or up for you. I know Matt mentioned once there are plans to extend to Europe as well. Is there any sort of timeline for that functional garage? Yes. So the deal, Canada is my little project I'm working on. Actually, it's kind of a big project. So we're going through all the stuff on the back end now with attorneys and all that junk. And then Canada, hopefully by the end of the year. Then Australia would be next. And then the UK and such after that. So that'd be, I'd say, late 25, possibly 2026 for Europe. That sound right for your timeline, man?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Let's see. We go back to a couple questions. Oh, Bob has a great point here.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to make a deal with you.
Okay.
No more cars or houses
Yep.
until you finish press all and you get the $1,000 compressor done.
That's probably a good idea.
So I told him I like that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Functional Garage says, have you tried the new CarPro windshield coating, the D-Quartz G-Force?
I have a box of it. I need to put it on something.
Are the white pop caps better for the new squeezable bottles? I don't like the current black ones in the store. They don't seem to have a click, open and close. Also thought about it. Have you thought about a twist?
They're top? About the same. Yeah, that's something that there's not a lot of choice out there.
Here's another super chat from Tyler, $19.99. Is it a terrible idea to use touchless or touchless for contact wash after using pre-wash?
It just might be the time of it sitting there too long, because if it takes you really don't want it on there for more than like 5 minutes. So, I mean, and then I'm not sure how well it does on your hands. It might beat up your hands being a high pH. So I would say no, just based on the time that it will be sitting on the surface, and it's really going to start attacking, I would guess, your coating after, say, 5 minutes. Because, if it's already sat there for 5 minutes, and you hit it again, and you're washing the car and you're rushing around it, I would say no.
We then had a request from Anthony that I need to do a tour of the new building. like my old tours. I told him when you go to Rag Company, we're going to do a tour.
Okay.
Gus says, so I have a business idea that I need some advice on. What's the best way to get a hold of Matt?
Oh boy, I don't like that. If you want to get a hold of me, you're gonna have to like not be so ambiguous, because I don't like that. Like, I've got some super top secret deal.
Yeah.
So if you send me an email, you better tell me what it is. Not like, hey, I'll only tell you if we talk for an hour on the phone. I'm not interested in that. So you gotta just frickin' tell me.
Anthony says, I usually listen to this in podcast form and try to match the YouTube channel. Can y'all mention the YouTube air date in the podcast feed? Sometimes they're days apart. So that means what, when we publish it? To say, hey, this was July 26th or whatever today is? Yeah, we can do that, Anthony. Let's see. Are you still taking Athletic Greens 1 supplement? Braxton wants to know. If so, what are your thoughts on it?
I stopped taking it. I gave it to Chris.
Yeah, I got the bag.
It's just gross.
It is gross.
Yeah.
But it's better than eating that many vegetables, I guess. I was putting it in my chocolate protein shake, but it ruins it.
I just argued that vegetables are unnecessary.
Oh. We had a good discussion about that yesterday. Dan wants to know, any upgrades to the website planned soon? I'd love to have a wish list or future projects feature added to my account. Could use Excel, but would be cool to have on the site.
Yeah, I think we have a new theme at some point here coming. What we're trying to do is get our inventory dialed so that we can get rid of Reserve Your Spot.
Matt, have you had an opportunity to use the DIY Detail Rinseless Wash? It has replaced McKee's for me.
No, I have a bottle of it I need to test out.
All right, one of the last ones here as we wrap up from Andre. I got the Krinzel 1152 recently because of your videos. Great machine and amazing to work with.
Nice. It's the old stalwart. That thing is amazing.
Is that like the European version of the 1122?
Mm-hmm.
Right, okay.
Yep.
And then we had somebody asked if we're going to be back at it next week. I said, I believe we will. I'll be here, you'll be here, and then you're going to Rag Company for a little bit.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll be back next week. So that's all we got. All right, sorry, one more here. You'll like this. I would like to get my first full suspension for some trail riding.
Okay. What
would you recommend to look for?
If you're doing trail riding, I think you want a like more reasonable travel bike, right? And I like a trail bike, not an XC bike, because an XC bike you tend to be too hunched over. An XC bike's more like a racing bike where you're trying to get as aerodynamic as possible. So I'm looking for, I like Yeti, I like Santa Cruz. Those are my two favorite bikes. Yeti, Santa Cruz, Giant. Trek is okay too. But my favorite currently is Santa Cruz, and I want a Santa Cruz Blur. And then the Blur is 110 millimeter travel suspension, because if you get up into the 130s, 140s, 150s, you're carrying all this weight on the bike that you don't need. And so I have the Santa Cruz High Tower, which is a 150 for Helen, and I probably don't even need that, for there. The more trail bike, like when I took my Yeti up there, I had a Yeti SB100. I think the new one's a Yeti SB110, and so you want a 100 millimeter travel type bike, because it'll be closer to, especially if you get an upper tier bike, it's going to be closer to say 25 pounds or less. When you get 150s, 140s, 150s, 160s, you're ending up a 30-pound bike, especially if you're in the lower build range. So I like the 100 millimeter, 120 or less travel, Santa Cruz Blur, Yeti SB110. And then oftentimes a lot of people will just go with what their local bike shop has, but I'll just find somebody to send me a Santa Cruz. I think Santa Cruz is the best. It's my favorite.
Dennis says he has the Intense Taser and likes it. It looks like, is that an electric bike?
Sure looks like it, yeah. No e-bikes. The lesson I learned of renting an e-bike is a complete waste of time. Because it's too easy. Yeah. Dave Chapman has been arguing with me. He said, I lost a bunch of weight riding an e-bike. I said, I bet you probably lost a bunch of weight in the kitchen, because that e-bike isn't doing squat for you. Now, you could take the e-bike and just not put it in the full assist mode. But I don't want to be dragging around an e-bike if I don't have to. This 50-pound brick, I would much rather have a regular bike, and I'll do the work.
All right, Ben, here's a good one. Ended on good pod to end the week. Enjoyed listening in today, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ben. We enjoyed it too.
Kind of like this. It's a comfy little setup here.
This is nice.
How's it look on camera?
It looks a little dim.
Huh.
Let's
Yeah.
see if we go.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah. We'll have Tim add a little ISO next time.
Yeah.
Bring the aperture down a little bit. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I guess we'll see you next week. Go enter the garage giveaway. Let's get me out of broke. I really like that. I'm gonna start selling off assets. I got a bunch of stuff I do need to sell. I got a bunch of tools. So stay tuned this week for Facebook Marketplace tool deals. Stahlvilla, some remaining Hazette, some Knipex. I've got to clean up my tools as the excess that I bought that didn't quite make the cut, that are still good tools.
Neil says it looks like the two of us are sitting in Pottery Barn.
Yeah, Restoration Hardware. All right, we'll see you.